thing.
That's for
So
sure.
this whole thing was basically how to get your money and my money legally via the assistance of the government. So if you look at the four things that make people poor every single month, is number one is taxes. Number two is debt, car payments, mortgage payments. Three is inflation. That's like you should know the price of gas going up or food can go up. And four is a retirement plan. So those are the four things that make the average middle-class person poor, but they're the very same things that make guys like me rich. And if you have a financial education, I can make millions of dollars and pay 0% in taxes. I use debt to get rich, not poor. I'm not against owning a home, but I own an apartment house. I own thousands of them. And I use debt to get rich. I use inflation to get rich. That's why I invest in oil, gold, silver, copper. And I don't need a retirement plan.
Yeah.
And all of that money goes to conspiracy.
Right. The 401k is probably one of the worst deals going nowadays, isn't it?
Oh, it's disastrous. And these morons are still out there saying, I called my financial planner. They say, just stay there for the long term. I said, well, you haven't, I don't know where you came from, but you're not a very bright person.
Yeah, no question about it. We are definitely living in interesting economic times with government spending and the creation of fake fiat money at unprecedented levels. What are your thoughts on the opportunities that are out there nowadays for prudent investors? I mean, I want to ask you geographically, too, as far as real estate goes and product type. Apartments, single-family homes, mobile home parks. Any particular likes and dislikes there?
Well, my message is the same. If you're an idiot, you're going to lose your money. So you don't just go and buy something. There's four basic asset classes. Number one is the business. And the richest people in the world own businesses. That's Bill Gates of Microsoft and Apple, Steve Jobs. The second is real estate. The third are stocks, bonds, and paper assets. And then the fourth are commodities. So I own all four, but I am a student of all four. If you don't have any education, you're going to lose money in any one of them. So, people have lost money in real estate. They've lost money in gold and silver. They've lost money in businesses. And yet they sit there and they still think they can get lucky. I don't know where people get where their heads are. Trying to get rich is like flying an airplane. You don't just climb in it and take off because you will crash. So it's not investment. It's not the real estate or mobile home or apartment houses or business. It's you, the individual. It's your financial education that determines if you'll be successful or not.
You can make money basically in any product type if you know what you're doing. That's kind of the takeaway. Okay. Do you feel this is a good time to be stocking up on more income properties and more mortgage debt? One of our big strategies is you're buying these properties basically as packaged commodities when you get the land cheap or free and you buy below the cost of actual construction. Then you put long-term fixed rate debt against them. And as inflation comes, it makes the value of the commodities increase and wipes out the value of the debt. We see this as the ultimate arbitrage opportunity. Do you feel the same way?
No.
How come?
Well, because you're counting on something else, and I don't do it that way. I just don't do it that way. What I do is, if it doesn't cash flow, I don't buy it. And then my whole thing is to buy it and then increase the debt on it, not reduce the debt.
We agree with that, too. I mean, we definitely agree with that.
Just hear what I'm saying, Jason, is that if you're not smart, you're going to get your butt handed to you out there. Look, real estate, like the economy, is predicated upon jobs. So you can buy the best real estate in Detroit, and if jobs keep going out of Detroit, you're still going to lose money. So I only buy real estate where there's jobs, i.e., like Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Dallas, and Houston, because there's oil there. And as long as there's oil, there's jobs. But the other thing is, it's not just buying it and hitting and missing it. And in theory, your ideas work well. But there's far more to it than just real estate and financing and debt. There's a lot more to it. That's why I caution people on, just because a stock is cheap or real estate is cheap or business is cheap doesn't mean it's of any value.
You are so right about that. We see promoters out there all the time promoting these properties in Michigan, especially in Detroit. And, Detroit used to be one of America's flagship cities, and the population has been virtually cut in half over the last couple of decades. And I just think there's no real future there. If you don't have job growth, if you don't have population growth, you're dead. And California, this is one of the reasons we haven't recommended California in years. We like the markets you mentioned. We like Texas quite a bit. We have a lot of investors buying properties there. We like the southeastern U.S. The mid-Atlantic's pretty good in the Carolinas. I definitely agree, but the property has to be sustainable, self-sustainable, so that you're not in big negative cash flow situations, and then you have that other stuff working for you. So I'm completely agreeing with you. I just want you to know that. Yeah, there's no difference of opinion on that stuff.
And the other thing is that you have to know whether you're buying A, Bs, or Cs. A high-end, B is middle class, and C is slumlord. And I have focused only on Bs.
Mm-hmm.
So the A guys are getting crushed.
Right.
You have to be highly specialized to do those, what do you call those, Section 8s and all that stuff.
Right.
I don't touch that. I'm not a slumlord guy.
Right.
I'm strictly in the B category. I have been there all my life. So I don't just jump around the place. I really focus, and I know my product, I know my customer, I know my market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying it takes education. It's nothing to do with real estate. It has to do with who's your customer, what's the business you're in.
Right.
We provide affordable, safe housing. What we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And as long as there's jobs, we'll be okay.
Very good. In the Who Took My Money book, which I really enjoyed that one, there's a fantastic graph right in the introduction that shows a $10,000 investment in the S&P 500 compared to real estate. And it shows it from 1992 to 2002. And basically, with some leverage added, the real estate investment outperforms the S&P by like 800% because it has, of course, these special characteristics. Why is it that people still believe that, the stock market is the best way to go? I mean, I know you alluded to it already, but any more points you can give our listeners on that would be just always appreciated, because this myth is just so perpetuated. It's everywhere.
Okay, let me give you the 4 asset classes again. This start your own business, and a big business person has 500 employees or more. That's what I have. Second is real estate. Third is the paper, and fourth is commodity. The reason most people are in paper is because that's where the conspiracy makes their money. After 1974, they pushed everybody into the 401ks, and they have no control. So to run a business takes the most brain power. Real estate takes the second, and third is stocks. So the reason most people are in stocks is it doesn't take much intelligence. You just sort of buy it. It's scalable. I mean, you can buy $100 worth or $100,000 worth. And then you don't really have to manage it. You just kind of buy, hold, and sit on it, and hope the company stays alive.
Yeah.
So stocks, you can make a lot of money in stocks, just like anything else if you're smart. But since most people really don't know anything and they're not competent in the financial world, it's really easy just to buy, hold, diversify, and pray, get killed. It's really tragic. The middle class of America is like that.
Yeah, I know it is. And when you mentioned before the A, B, and C property types, I think we're going to see, and we're already seeing a lot of people moving from A to B, and a lot of people, unfortunately, are going to move from B to C probably as we see the middle class disappearing. I mean, what are your thoughts on the middle class? It's interesting that you call this the conspiracy of the rich, and I hate how people get sort of vilified that, ever bring up a conspiracy theory here or there. And I interviewed G. Edward Griffin on my show a couple of months ago, and other people, and we brought up the issue of conspiracy theories and so forth. It's getting tough to think in a way that this isn't a conspiracy, that the powers that be want to see the size of the middle class reduced. Or is that just kind of a title? What do you think about that?
Well, it's really easy to take control of stupid people who are broke.
Yeah, right. And buy their votes, right?
Yeah, just make them any promise. Yeah, we'll send you money every month from Social Security. So, I mean, it's a tragedy. I'm not a socialist. I think it's socialism taking over, personally. Yeah,
I agree with you. It is quite scary, and I think with all the talk of healthcare, what's interesting is they say they're going to cover another 50 million people with government healthcare, yet the number of doctors and nurses isn't really increasing. The math on this whole deal just doesn't work, and I'm afraid it'll become like the other socialized countries where people basically die waiting in line. It's really scary when you see what's happening, and the elite class won't be participating in the plan they're recommending for the rest of us, So
right. Well, again, that goes back to in Conspiracy of the Rich, is that in 1903, John D. Rockefeller took over the school system, and that's why we don't have financial education in our schools. It's not an accident. So, I mean, if you really wanted this country to prosper, you would have financial education. But you look at most school teachers, and they're good people, highly educated, but they need a job just as bad as anybody else. Most of them are union members, and that's socialism. So, they have the right to do that. It's just not who I am. I'd rather not need a job, and I'd